Welcome to the Spirit-Centered Business Podcast, where we blend the spiritual with the practical for supernatural results. Now, here is your host, Bralynn Newby.
Well, hello there. Welcome back to Spirit-Centered Business. I'm here again for part 2 with Matt Nagy. I'm excited about this conversation, you guys. It's going to be off the charts. But first of all, I want to remind you, Kingdom Positioning, my program with Marion McLeod is starting. So make sure that you go to spiritcenteredbusiness.com and click the Work With Us button, and you will see how to get into that. And don't be afraid to come in a little bit late. You can catch up. It's going to be easy, but it's all about positioning yourself in this time. Right now, everybody knows that the world is kind of in a weird place, and we need to know who we are and be on solid ground and positioned correctly as sons, and awaken to our true identity and awaken to the assignment that we're called to, which might be different than you think it is. So that's all going to be in Kingdom Positioning. So go ahead and go over there to spiritcenteredbusiness.com. And also, if you missed part 1 with Matt, it will be on the podcast button when you go to spiritcenteredbusiness.com. So make sure that you catch that. It was a great conversation, and I'm so excited to continue. Matt, welcome back.
Hey, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Hope life is treating you well.
Awesome. I see your phase is a little bit less today. You still have your angel over your shoulder, which is always a good thing.
I'm still capable of phasing in and out, but
there you go. If you lean over to that side.
I'll stay in the light as he is in the light.
Exactly. So last time we touched on it, and I want to really go there. The technologies of heaven. Oh my gosh, this so fires me up. I think that God really put this in a hot button in me for a reason. So let's go there. Let's talk about that.
Wow. It's a hot topic. It's one of these topics that I've been exploring all my mystic Christianity journey. So past 12 years. I've been, 13 years, unlucky for some, lucky for me. I've been exploring this particular topic. I got very excited when I discovered his glorious presence and the joy that comes with that. That was a real introduction to me. And I think the joy is very amazing. It's disarming. Sometimes it's drunken, and there is a biblical reference for that, guys. What is this? Jesus's first miracle? He turned water into wine. And what are you? You're like 83% water. Okay, so like if you're at a conference and you suddenly start to feel drunk, it's just you are living the first miracle of the New Testament, guys. It's the very first thing he did. Turn water into wine.
And he did it after they had already had enough to drink.
Oh yeah,
they already emptied all the wine that there was, so they were already drunk, and he gave them more.
And what did they say? They said, "I can't. This is the best wine yet."
Yes,
for last.
I love that episode in The Chosen. Have you seen it?
Oh no, I haven't seen it.
Oh my gosh, the TV show The Chosen, you guys. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and do it. And this episode, when he does the first miracles, they did it so well. The whole show is just really well done. But anyway, coming back to technology.
So that piqued our interest, and I started to hear about all sorts of other miracles, and there seemed to be the separation of kind of the manifestation of the glory miracles, like gold dust and gems out of heaven, and like all sorts of just fun stuff that people are like, oh, it's not in the Bible, but actually there are gems all over the Bible. There's gold all over the Bible. It's like, the streets of heaven are paved with gold, guys. There's gold everywhere. You breathe gold. So if gold dust appears, that's literally just like heaven and earth crossing over. If gemstones appear, the streets of heaven, there's gems everywhere. They're so abundant, gems and gold, et cetera, et cetera. It's so abundant that when heaven and earth combine, there's just leftovers, and that's when you get gemstones in meetings and things like that. I've had quite a few gemstones, and I tell you, the only connecting factor between all the times that I've had gemstones was me being 24/7 connected with him during those times, and I saw gemstones. But these aren't really technologies. I'm just saying this is kind of what got me into it. It's just fun manifestations. So let's talk technologies. Okay?
Right. How to get there. Yeah.
I did a talk at Tomorrow People 2018, which is one of our conferences, which I believe there's still access to it on our website, Glory Company, glory-company.com. And it's all about supernatural. Okay. It's all about, I have had a revelation, as have many, of how fantastically, amazingly supernatural we are. So much, abundantly more than you can ask or imagine. I believe that we all learned to forget. We all forgot.
There's a lot of speculation on how we lost our memory when we're born. That's, yeah, amazing.
And it's like, it's incredibly sad to think that we are far more supernatural and we have forgotten how supernatural we are. Justin wrote a fantastic book called Beyond Human, where he does a kind of chapter by chapter of some of the amazing supernatural stuff that is not only a miracle within the Bible that Jesus performed, or some of the other saints performed within the Bibles, some of the other prophets, but that many saints since have performed within the Catholic and Christian communities over the years. Okay, so there's some fantastically amazing stuff there, and let's just talk about them. We're going to talk about some of the things, and we're going to talk about them because people think that they were hijacked by the New Age, and so they shun them. Like, oh, that's New Agey, we can't do that. Okay, but what God created, let no man put asunder. Okay, if God made something and uses it himself and is in touch with it himself, why aren't we allowed to engage it? Because we're Christian. Because somewhere along the line, somebody didn't like it or got scared of it and spoke negatively about it. And the result was that Christianity let it go. But guys, this stuff's for us. So let's talk about some of them.
Another problem that happened is the translations of the Bible are such that you don't read in our common vernacular today. You don't read the supernatural, the quantum stuff in that Bible. I have, quantum capacity. We go through the quantum scriptures that are literally talking about that infinite possibilities field. But I mean, it's science, but it's also what God created. But the Bible was written in a way that really dumbed all that down and kind of hid it. And so it's unfortunate, but it's the glory of the kings to search out the matter, right?
Fantastic. Exactly. It was the glory of a king to hide it in plain sight. And it's the glory of we kings. He's the King of Kings. Who are the kings? We're the kings. Okay. So some of the technologies, if you look at Philip teleported.
Yeah.
Translocation. Ian Clayton is translocated. Nancy Cohen is translocated. There are others. Bruce Allen's translocated. There are saints who translocated over the period of time. Okay, right? Translocation is a technology. Okay, we believe that we are solid and that we live in air on a physical planet because we believe that we are bodies with a personality that get in touch with the spirit. But the truth is that you're a spirit
Right.
that has a soul, that lives in a body. We are effectively frequencies. We are light. We are mathematics. We are music. We are a poem. We are so much, right? And when a frequency, if you look at quantum physics, guys, there's something called non-locality.
Right.
And non-locality means that we're not even bound by time, let alone space.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you're not bound by time, let alone space. So Philip was at one place and he did a nice thing with the eunuch, and the eunuch said, praise the Lord, and gave his life to Jesus and was baptized. And then Philip was somewhere else all of a sudden. Okay, what about Elijah? You know, Elijah disappeared. He disappeared. And then he reappeared, right? What about Jesus? It says that Jesus hid in the temple. It's very cute for everyone to think Keystone Cops and Jesus running around and hiding behind a post, right? But that, he disappeared.
Yeah. And another one, he walked right through the crowd and they didn't see him. So clearly he was invisible.
He walked through the crowd.
Exactly. Through them, just like walking through the wall.
He might not have been invisible. He may have simply been in a different dimension.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Not in the dimension that they could perceive him.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. See, but invisibility is another technology.
Exactly. Yeah.
So in the physical body, but I've gone invisible. I have been so far swept up into the presence in worship that I was walking off of a train through a crowd, and somebody was walking. They clearly could not see me until they got within a foot of me, and then suddenly they went and stepped aside. He was going to walk straight through me. You know, it's absolutely clear. And by God's grace, and I'm not special. I just like to be connected with the Father. And another time I was walking home and Pearl said, oh, have you got your umbrella? It looks like it's going to rain. I said, it's not a problem. Oh, one time I just said to God, hold the rain back. And he said, you do it. And I said, okay, the rain is held back. And the rain was held back, and I walked home. And it stopped the second the train ended, and it started again after I walked in the door. But this time I was walking and I kept hearing Donald Fagen's, well, between the raindrops back to your door was playing in my head. I'm like, where's this song come from? And I realized I walked all the way home from the train station home. I got in the door. It was absolutely tipping it down, and I was dry as a bug. So I was in somewhere else.
Right. I've had rain kind of miracles too. So that's very cool. Yeah.
You know, and that's a technology based on being connected to the Father. It's very simple technology. I did it unconsciously several times, and now I'm working my way through because I want to learn. I want the access to what I stepped into by accident so that I can do it at will. Okay. Right. Let's talk teleportation again for a moment. Okay. Right. Let's talk about Philip. What Philip did, right? And he disappeared there and he reappeared here. Okay. Translocation, teleportation. I mean, there was a movie years ago called The Fly, which was a bit of a horror movie where he invented a machine that would teleport you with physical technology from A to B, right? That's like a counterfeit of a heavenly technology. Okay. Yeah. And as I was preaching once about some of the supernatural stuff, and somebody who got her bent out of shape because she actually had been a witch who got saved, and anything that reminded her of her witchiness triggered something in her. Yeah, so she said, oh, what's that for? What's that for? I said, well, let's think of a good use for it. So imagine the great revival coming, where it's a revival in the Arab nations, and you want to go in and spread the love of God and teach people about Jesus Christ, but you're a known Christian preacher. You can't fly in. They're going to catch you at the border. They're going to behead you, right? You're not going to get in. That'd be a really good time to be able to teleport at will, wouldn't it? You appear in the center, you preach the love of God, and you teleport home. Ian Clayton has a story of appearing at a meeting in China. He's got scars in the palm of his hands because God didn't teleport him back until after he had been nailed to a board, quote unquote crucified, after he had the nails pierced his hands. And he's got scars in the center of his hands. You know, he was there and he was like, what happened? What was that? And a week later got an email from the people saying, thanks for coming to our meeting. Here's a photo of the meeting. See, you were there. And we look forward to having you back. You know, like, this is a technology that would be so wonderful.
Yeah, and I heard a story about missionaries who had a suitcase full of Bibles, and when they were going through customs, they were all freaking out. And when the customs rifled through the suitcase, it looked like clothes to them. They didn't even see the Bibles.
Right.
Wow.
Like, this stuff happens all the time. I mean, that's a you know, they didn't do that technology by will, of course.
Right.
Okay? You know, that was like a sovereign thing.
They believed, they trusted, right? They believed that God called them to do this mission trip, and we're going to get in there, and we just trust however it's going to happen is going to happen, and that's what happened.
Exactly. You know.
Right.
So, you know, guy, look, I mean, we've jumped straight through to one of the biggies, but it's a big one. Okay. What about healing? You all, lots of you think the healing is real, right? You've seen people get healed. I mean, I've seen, you know,
I have, absolutely.
I've seen fake faith healers as well, but I've seen many people get healed.
Yeah.
And keep their healing, not lose it, you know? And God's just wonderful and generous, and healing's real.
I got supernaturally healed. Absolutely. Yep.
You know, I've had a supernatural healing too. So, like, if you can believe in healing, how about the next stage of resurrection? And why not?
Right.
And
why not? Why? That's the question. Like,
you know,
if God is calling you up, like, you can't think, well, who am I? You say, okay, Lord, use me. You know, why not me?
Yeah. You know, I mean, these are all the miracles that happen in the Bible, they're all technologies.
Right.
Okay. They're all frequency. They're all vibrational. You know, if God can grow you from nothing to a 5'8" human being, why can't he grow a limb out at will? Scientists looking at DNA say it's strange that if you amputate a limb, it's odd that it doesn't grow back. There's something like weird about that, the fact that it doesn't grow back. So if you're in a meeting and there's somebody without an arm or an eye, or, you know, like that kind of creative miracle that happens within a meeting, right? Why not? It's there. You know, if you think about water into wine, well, water turns into wine every day. Okay. And what I mean is grapes grow. Okay. So grapes are a little seed that becomes a plant that is in the sun, that the grapes begin to form. The sunshine is doing photosynthesis, and water is coming up through the earth, and the water and the photosynthesis, and the grape grows and it grows and it grows. And then somebody picks them and squishes them, and they ferment and they become wine. Water into wine is not a creative miracle. It's following the pattern of nature. The technology is speeding it up or changing the frequency. Playing with time is the technology.
Yeah. Yeah. And time is another just a really cool dimension and a being to engage with. And, you know, Jesus redeemed everything, and that includes time. So we should never be time's slave. We're the dominant, you know, creation. We're the sons. So we need to engage with time in a more a more dominant kind of a way, and have time be subservient to what we need to get done to fulfill our mission and our destiny?
Time is a very interesting one. How
Yeah.
many of you have had rich time?
I've had some crazy experiences. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how many, I think every one of you listeners, I think you've had something called rich time. Now,
Yeah.
rich time has been a moment where time seemed to freeze and you were fully engaged. I mean, so it often happens in a romantic encounter or lost in a book or enjoying a piece of art or very often in meditative prayer. Okay. And you get rich time. You get this moment where nothing seems to matter and everything fades away except you and the experience that you're having. And it feels like ages. But when you come out of it, only a moment has passed. Okay. That's rich time. Okay. It's rich. It's wonderful. It's full. Okay. It's like, I mean, you dream in Godspeed. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So like you have a dream that seems like ages and ages, but actually you were only asleep for 5 minutes. Okay. You dream in Godspeed. Okay. That to me is like a perfect example of the fact that we are fully functioning supernatural beings. And that fact that dream time is so different from real time, but happens to you every single night, should show you that you are actually timeless and eternal, and you are tapped into the infinite and into eternity, and you can engage it at will. Right?
Beautiful. Yep. Absolutely.
Whew.
So good. So good. So what are you practicing these days?
Right. So, okay. Now, meditation is throughout the Bible. Okay. I touched on meditation when talking about rich time just then. Okay. Meditation is throughout the Bible. It is 100% biblical, right? And it is so important. It is what Jesus did every single day, every single morning, right? He would get into a space of rich time by focusing on the Father. He was probably using Hebrew, of course. He was perhaps saying Amen or Abba, or, he was just focusing his body, soul, and spirit in perfect union, and he would be lost in a moment of rich time. Now, I'm actually writing a book on meditation at the moment. I'm writing a book on Hebraic meditations at the moment. Okay.
Oh, cool.
And I'm hoping to release it in the autumn and late autumn. And it's going to have 40 Hebraic meditations using Hebraic words as a focal point for these meditations. Okay.
Nice.
Because there's power in the Hebraic letters. They're alive. There are many teachings on the letters of light. I'm not going to go into it, right? But they're alive. They're different than just like the normal alphabet. Okay. There's power in them. How do I know that? Because the very first scripture of the Bible says, in the beginning of God's creation, Aleph Tav, the heavens and the earth. That says to me, in the beginning of God's creations, he created the living letters of light and Jesus Christ. The living letters of light became the building blocks that from which he was able to then make the heavens and the earth. Okay, that's my very quick MIV paraphrase
Yeah.
of the Bible.
Even John says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. Well, what is a word? A word is made up of letters. And so therefore the letters are the foundational construct or framework that the entire world was built on. Exactly.
And the rabbis really, the mystic rabbis really firmly embraced this and believed it. Okay. And John says the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And who is that? That's Jesus Christ. So the beginning of God's creation, Aleph Tav, Jesus Christ, the heavens and the earth, right? So I'm using them particularly. Anyway, so I've learned to meditate. Jesus did it. All the prophets did it. All the saints did it. Meditate, right? Now, everyone thinks, oh no, meditation, that's New Age. No, it is not New Age. It's biblical, okay? Just because New Age has embraced it, oh no, it's Buddhism. No, it's, you know, the difference between Christian Hebraic meditation and Buddhism is that they're trying to get to a place of nothingness, and we're trying to get a place of union with God.
Connectedness, exactly.
Connectedness.
Back
okay?
to source. He is our source, right?
Exactly, right? The Zen, right? The Zen Buddhists are trying to go to nirvana. Well, I'm like, well, what is the ultimate nirvana but God?
Right.
Right? That is the ultimate nirvana, to be 24/7 connected with heaven, with God, with, you know, Holy Spirit and God and Jesus Christ and me, all wrapped up in one, all in union.
Yeah.
And meditation to me seems to be one of the keys. Okay. When it talks about Jesus every single morning getting up and going into his mountain, I believe he was actually I don't know that he left his house and left all the guys hanging out and then hiked miles up the mountain. By the time he got there, he'd have to come back to go do his stuff for the day.
I'm right with you, Matt. I totally agree.
I believe he went up into his mountain through meditative connectedness. It for us, being human beings, spirit beings having a human experience, right? For us, breathing simply calms the emotions and the body, right? And in that calming of the emotion in the body, the heart and the mind get into alignment with each other. The brain and the heart actually get into sympathetic frequency together. Okay. If you're all emotional and upset, your frequency is chaotic. Okay. If they put an EKG on you and they measured you and they got you upset, it goes like this. Okay. Right. Angry like this. You know, every single negative emotion is like this. Every single wonderful emotion, love is like this. Joy is like this, you know, and your heart is a wonderful thinking muscle. It's a much better thinking muscle than your head, even, because your head sometimes gets confused by your memories, but your heart is quite pure. Your heart is a thinking muscle. People who are led by their hearts, you know, and led this way and led that. I was talking about it in part 1 about being 24/7 connected with Holy Spirit, with the Father, with Jesus Christ during my life, my business, my family, my everything, right? And allowing that comes down to living out of here, which is living out of this calmer frequency. And if chaos comes, let it come. Take a deep breath and go back to that.
Yeah, and the dominant frequency wins. Like when you throw a pebble into a lake and it makes a little ripple, if you throw a rock in, the ripple from the pebble is not even there. It's non-existent. So if you can maintain that heart-brain coherence of frequency, the chaos frequency comes in and you just obliterate it because you're the stronger frequency.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, they do that with tuning forks, don't they? Right. They've got that. They've got the smaller tuning fork, the more dominant tuning fork will pull the other tuning fork's frequency towards it instead. Okay, so we want this to be in dominance, and dominance means, it says be at rest. You know,
and
right?
Rest is a frequency, and rest is a state of being. Absolutely.
You know, so when we're in rest, literally our frequency of our brain changes. Okay, like life is lots of alpha and lots of beta, and the balance of alpha and beta, but like there's theta, there's gamma, there's delta, there's these other frequencies that the being is able to get into. And interestingly, those frequencies Oh, Nancy Cohen's got a great story where the doctor convinced her to put these frequency things on her and asked her to start to be calm. And when she was calm, like the frequency was like this beautiful, wonderful, really high frequency. And then he said, okay, start to worship. And when she started to worship, it went off the charts, right? You couldn't even measure it. It got so high.
Wow,
Right?
very cool.
She knew it broke the machine, you know? And, but that's a reality, okay? The reality is that heaven is on a much higher frequency than we are. Okay, you may have heard Ian Clayton in the past talk about the fact that in heaven there are far more colors than the 7 colors of the rainbow. But you can actually see them because when you're in your heavenly body, you have access to a higher frequency, and you can interact with these other colors that don't exist on Earth. Well, they do exist on Earth. We just can't see them at the moment, but we can't see them because the lower frequency that we live in normally. So going into a meditative state, you begin to access these other frequencies, and being able to stay in that meditative state, right? By staying in that meditative state, you get access to all this other stuff. You unlock creativity, something called genius mode. You know, here's some very famous inventors who were meditators, and Steve Jobs was a meditator. And, you know, the iPhone was born out of it. You know, the Mac was born out of that, right? There are loads of inventors. Their names are all escaping me at the moment. I want to say
Thomas Edison, the one who he sat in a chair and held his keys in his hand because in case he fell asleep, the keys would fall and wake him up. But that's what he would be meditating there.
Yes, great. You know, and he invented so much, right?
Right.
I'm sure Tesla was a meditator. Einstein did the whole theory of relativity in his mind in another state of being. He was like somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it came to him. He wasn't writing it down. He wrote it down after the fact.
Right.
You know? Anyway,
so I have a question for you though. When you're practicing your meditation and getting into this, and you guys, this is totally, it's not only biblical, but it's also science. So it's like there's a quantum realm of that limitless possibility, which is Father's heart. He is the creator. He is the source. So it is his getting it connected to that realm is that meditative place where, you know, as you go higher. So Matt, and the question I have is, do you use breath work in addition to get there, or to help your body calm or anything?
So you can learn to meditate. I actually did a whole bunch of tweets and Facebook posts on this like a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Right? And every day I meditated and I would tweet, you know, about it. I'm actually in the book, at the end of the book, I put all the tweets, because it's funny watching the experience. Everybody goes through it, you know, the mind wandering, or, you know, you're starting to meditate and then you're thinking about breakfast, or, you know, whatever. You're thinking
about the bathroom, or whatever.
You're like, oh, this was a terrible meditation. You have to keep pulling yourself back. Anyway.
It happens, right?
Right. But it happens to everybody by God's grace, you know, because it's a shared human experience. Because we're so used to busyness instead of business. Let's get to the business of the business, right? So breath work is important. Okay. Breathing is one of the main focuses. Okay. Using a word, actually, you know, you don't have to use Om, guys, although, you know, Om actually means like to be one with God, right? But anyway, I use Hebraic words on purpose because I know there's power behind them. I tend to use 2-syllable Hebraic words.
In and then out is the 2 syllables.
In one and out the other.
Right.
Yeah, I tend to do that. My favorite is Yahweh, because Yahweh is the breath of God.
Yeah, I love that.
It's so easy. It's easy. So it's like, so easy, right? Right. Everybody, you want to take a second? Ready? Right? And you just feel the calm come over you just from having a deep breath, right? And so I got myself a little timer, It's an app on my phone, and I can tell you the name of it in a second. And you could program the timer specifically. So, and at the end of the timer, I just get a little ding, ding, rather than bong, although you can get it going if you want. And I'd set myself, I started with 5 minutes, and then that very quickly was not long enough. And so I increased it to 10, to 15, to 20. When Pearl meditates, she'll meditate for 30 to 40 minutes. But she's so practiced at it. She's in, like Jesus would have been. She's in under a minute, and able to go through into the delta state and through to the gamma. Maybe it was the gamma and then the delta. I can't remember which one's first.
I think theta is where you want to be.
And
Delta
then,
all the way asleep.
going into passing delta into into theta. Yeah. And quickly going, it's this place where rich time exists. Right. And you go in union with the Father. I often imagine purposely with my sanctified imagination, my mind of Christ, I purpose to engage going up while I begin breathing and onto the court of heaven before on the sea of glass before his throne. So I'm there, I'm with him. So I'm protected, I'm under the shadow of his wing, I'm right there, and he's got me. And I purpose to be there and remain there. But whilst I'm there, now it talks about John in Revelation, he says, I was swept up in the heavens. And then it says, I was swept up into the heavens of the heavens. Okay, so he was in heaven already in an ecstasy, already in a meditative prayer, when he was swept up into another state of being within the state. Okay, it's there, go look it up. Okay. And I have a feeling he does it. He goes even to a third place. He goes to an even higher place at some point. But so I position myself there first. And then when I move into the theta state, it's like I've gone further. I've gone somewhere else. And I hit this rich time. And I'm just in this place, not of nothingness, but it's like me and God with the universe expanse around me. It's the only way I can explain it. Just trying to put it into words, what it feels like. Some people see, some people hear, some people just sense. Okay, it's all the same thing. Okay, right? You get into that place of peace, of rest, and if there's something on your heart that needs an answer, often if you go there, you'll begin to get divine inspiration and an answer to that which is on your heart, because he knows the thoughts already. He knows what you need. Okay. You don't even have to ask the question. You just need to go spend time in his presence. If you ask the question, you'll be clouded by the question.
Good
So,
point.
This is the technology that I'm actively engaging at the moment, and because I want to get to the same place Pearl is, and
right, exactly. And I love that, and I'm engaging with this too, and learning more about breathing and that kind of stuff. So I would really love for you to lead a meditation for our members. Are you interested?
Yeah.
After we get done here? Okay, awesome. So members, you will definitely look in the show notes as far as how to get this meditation, where we're going to put it. And we need to land this plane, and then we'll get to that meditation, Matt. So people can find you at glory-company.com.
Yes.
And also, why don't you give a little promo for Shekinah School?
And guys, so if you want to hear more stuff that is specifically tailored towards business, come and join our Father's Business Alliance. I think it's only $30 a month to subscribe, to become a member, and then you get access to all these fantastic teachings and teachers, Bralynn included, myself included, many others. Last year we had Ian and Marius, and we've got Mark Wilburn, and we just got this. He teaches on trading and all that kind of stuff. There's so many great people there and teaching wonderful things, how to engage. I think that once you realize that business and life are kind of interchangeable, then even if you're not a business person, so to speak, but you want to get in touch with this other side of Christianity where you're connected with God and you're applying these mystic things into your everyday life and business, then, join our Father's Business Alliance, ofba.net. It's pretty easy to remember, our Father's Business Alliance.net. And you can join. And there, last year, we did year 1 of Shekinah Business School, because we want the Shekinah, we want the 24/7 glory presence around us that's tangible. Right. And this year, right now, Shekinah Business School year 2 is just starting. As you're listening to this, it's only just started. It may be a weekend, but you really haven't missed much. So come on and come and partner with us. Come and have some fun with us.
Perfect. Okay, and all of those links will be in the show notes wherever you are enjoying the show. And just in case you guys are not on big tech on YouTube and Facebook, we are on the smaller we are on Rumble and Clout Hub and MeWe and Telegraph and all of those other things as far as the video show. And then the podcast, you guys, is on everywhere where you're looking for a podcast, Spotify and iHeartRadio and iTunes and all of those, we're on there too. So just look for Spirit Centered Business. Join us over on spiritcenteredbusiness.com. You can see the Trod button will show you how to join which of the different communities or programs or whatever is going on when you're listening to this. We would love to see you over there. And I'm excited for this meditation you're going to lead us in, Matthew.
Great.
So let's land this plane and get to that. So until the next time, stay spirit-centered. Peace out.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Centered Business with Bralynn Newby. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. The next stage of doing business by being spirit-centered is coming together in collaboration, working with spiritual principles and knowing our destiny. Join our tribe at spiritcenteredbusiness.com, and we'll catch you on the next broadcast. Peace out.